My name is Eman, and the title of my talk is called Yes and. You may be wondering, yes and what? I'll cover that in a bit. All my life, I've known certain things about myself. I don't really know why I know them, but I just do. And I found that they've kind of followed me throughout my entire life. They followed me throughout my entire life. Things that I know about myself are, one, I do like to entertain people. So it could be storytelling, it could be dancing, it could be singing, it could be cracking jokes. I just really like to do it, and I like to get a reaction out of people. Laughter, crying, I don't really care. The second thing that I really like is I like little kids, and I like really old people. And as for the part in the middle, I like people who basically have no verbal filter. They're just themselves. Because I think I'm like that too. The third thing that I really like are animals. The fourth thing that I really like is science, actually. I just love anything science related. And the fifth thing that I like is, the fifth thing that I like is any form of sports. Growing up, I was a tomboy. I played basketball a lot. It's something that I really like. These are things that I know about myself. The summer before I went to University of Maryland, which is my alma mater, I was very, very, very excited. I was happy because I was going to have friends. I was going to figure out who I was supposed to be. I was going to be very content. I was going to find my major. Life was going to be awesome. At that point in my life, everything seemed possible. The world seemed huge. I could be anything that I wanted to be, and it was legit. The first week I went to University of Maryland, I actually stopped by the plant sciences building. And I stopped by the advisor's office, and I told him, I want to be an entomology major. I want to study bugs, because I think they're awesome. So the advisor told me, he's like, okay, we have something called First Look Fair. We have something called Maryland Day. We have bugs. You can talk to somebody, go there, see if you'd like to do it. I said, cool. So I went to the First Look Fair, I think, and I saw bees, centipedes, millipedes, all these different bugs. I talked to people. I saw this infinity-year-old tarantula, and it was awesome. And it was like crawling up my arm and stuff, and it was very awesome. And I said, okay, I'm going to be an entomologist. A week later, that tarantula died. I don't know if it died or if someone got really hurt from it, but something pretty bad happened. And I found myself crying, and I'm like, I don't want to handle a really archaic, majestic tarantula dying, or I don't want to handle somebody possibly dying from it. I can't be an entomology major. And so I said no to myself. The week after, or the month after, I don't really remember what it was, I went to the animal sciences building, and I spoke to an advisor. I said, I want to be a zoologist. The guy said, there is no zoology major. You can do it in grad school, but we have pre-vet. So let me tell you about that. So I sat with the guy. He opened up his folder, and he said, here are the 3 things you need to know. First thing is, you have to be able to handle really small animals, and you have to be able to handle huge animals. The guy already freaked me out. Second thing, you need to have a 4.00 GPA. Can you do that? And third thing is, if you want to be a vet, you have to go to Blacksburg, Virginia, and go to vet school. I was scared. I didn't know, okay, I can maybe handle geckos, but I don't know about cows, something serious happened. I thought that was weird. Secondly, I have to get a 4.00 GPA. I don't even know if I could do that. I didn't even question myself. And third, moving to Blacksburg, I don't even know if I'm allowed to do that. And I never questioned it. So I said, I'm not going to be a vet. And so I said no to myself. The week or the month after, I wanted to be an astronomist. Gravity has always just fascinated me. It would just be awesome, just be floating. So I went to the physics department, and I said, I want to be an astronomer. What can I do? He said, go to a class, just an introductory astronomy class, and sit in it and see what you think. Sit in the front. I didn't sit in the front, I sat in the back. But I went to the class, and I sat down, and I'm thinking this guy's going to talk about like anti-gravity or something awesome. Dude walks up to the class, he draws this magnificent alpha on the board, and I was like, nope. Gravity can be in Jannah, not here. Peace. So I left, and I said, astronomy isn't for me. And so I said no to myself. At that point, I was very flustered. Being a freshman, everyone around me was like so excited, it was nauseating. And everyone around me acted like they knew what they were doing, even if they were doing letters and sciences. I don't even know why. They were like, I'm letters and sciences. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was frustrated because I felt like I had to fake. So I went to the counseling center, and I talked to a counselor, and I said, I would like to take a career determination test, whatever you want to call it. My counselor looked like the guy from Gangnam Style. I don't even know why I remembered that. So I told him I'd like to take a test. He said, cool. He started talking to me, trying to figure out my life history, my life story. I didn't really care. I said, just give me a freaking test. I feel stupid. Everyone around me knows what they're doing. So I took a Myers-Briggs test, and the results came back within a week, and my counselor looked at it, and he busted out laughing. And you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be empathic. So he looked at the list, and he laughed really hard. And I said, why? He said, your top career choice, number 1, is dolphin trainer. And number 2 is science teacher. I didn't hear the science teacher part. I heard dolphin trainer, and I was like, whoa. So the next week, I went to the Baltimore Aquarium, and I watched the dolphin show, and it looked so awesome. And I just watched people throwing fish, you know, to the animals, and I'm like, I want to do this. So after, I went to the trainer lady, and I said, what can you do to be a dolphin trainer? So she said, well, you have to do this, 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 this. And she looked me up and down, and she said, but you can't do it looking like that. I didn't even question her. I got discouraged, and I said, dolphin training is not for me. And so I said no to myself. And so on and so forth. It just happened over and over and over again. Whether it was me saying no to myself, people telling me no, or my concept of Islam that told me no, I kept on saying no. I wanted to learn how to play guitar, and I wanted to sing, but I heard music is haram, so I can't do that. No. The other thing I wanted to do, I really wanted to act, but I wear hijab, and people are going to see me acting with my hijab, and I can't really do Shakespeare that way, so no. I wanted to be part of a big sister, big brother program, and I wanted to mentor kids, but I wasn't feeling very confident at the time, and I felt small, and I didn't think I could offer anything, so I said no. I wanted to be part of the equestrian club at the University of Maryland, but I heard a story that the horse kicked this cousin of the, whatever the heck it is. I don't want to do it, so I said no. I wanted to go to the gym at University of Maryland, the CRC or ERC, whatever you want to call it, and I wanted to run, and I wanted to jump rope because I love jump roping, but I didn't feel too good because people went to the gym so they could look all, you know, awesome and stuff, and that's not happening right here, so I said no. And no, and no, and no, and no, and over years, I went from seeing everything in the world was possible to thinking nothing was absolutely possible. Nothing was possible at all, and I felt very small, and I was sad. And this was the way I was for a long period of time. In University of Maryland, I found myself taking chemistry classes. I don't know why, but I was. I found myself taking Chem 101, 102, Orgo, and I found myself getting better and better and better at it, and I didn't even realize people around me were saying, like, Orgo is so hard, and I did well, and I didn't get it. I was like, well, whatever, I moved along. I found myself taking adolescent classes, elementary education classes. I was progressing in the education field, and I didn't know why, but I knew that I was doing well in it. And it just was kind of like my safe haven. I just kept on doing the academics, the academics, the academics. And I didn't really know, but I was paving a road for myself. Whatever. My supervisor, or my education supervisor, came to me one day, and he said, Eman, you actually really have a knack for this stuff. I don't know what it is, but you really get chemistry, and you really get people, and so I'm going to put you in student teaching a little earlier than everyone else. I'm going to put you 2 years earlier. I said, okay, that's fine. Usually people go in their senior year. I went 2 years earlier. So he threw me into a 6th grade classroom, and I found myself teaching bone marrow to 6th graders. And as intimidating as it sounded, I did well. The next month, he threw me into a 7th grade classroom, and I found myself teaching algebra, and I did well. And so on and so forth. Then he threw me into a 9th grade magnet program class, and I was teaching electromagnetic radiation. Magnet program is basically like a different species of intelligence. I felt dumb, but I somehow taught them. I don't know how it happened. And so on and so forth. School after school after school, until I found myself my student teaching year in Blair High School, which is very close to here, and I was doing chemistry. And weirdly enough, it was therapeutic. I found myself feeling more confident every day that, hey, actually, I can do something. It felt good. And I graduated after and actually became a chemistry and physics high school teacher. And it was awesome, because when you're in a class with kids, it's really only you and them. It's really only you and them. You're sitting with a bunch of kids, you act like you know what you're doing, and they soak it in. It's a very, very good confidence booster, and they will always listen to you. And I found a way to combine all the elements together. I liked animals, I got spotted frogs. They were poisonous, but that's another story. I liked science. It was a lot of fun. You know, kids don't really want to learn about chemistry. I mean, you can't even see the freaking thing, but you have to make it exciting to people. This is green, this is yellow, this is clear, but it stinks. Whatever it is. Physics. We would run outside like banshees and shoot potato guns and calculate the velocity. It was awesome. It put everything together. And I found that it made me feel good. I was doing well. I started out with classes of 20 students. I told them, you know, you can give me more if you want to. They gave me 30 students, it's cool. One time they gave me 40 students, it's cool. I had a kid with ADD, I worked well with it. I had a kid with ADHD, kid with OCD, kid with ODD, BMC, GMC, AT&T, whatever you want to call it, all those things, and I could handle it. But the funny thing was, most of the time when I was teaching, actually, I didn't teach 70% of the time. I found myself saying stories about myself, and they were really stupid stories. But when I was saying these stories, I had an audience, and it made me feel good. They were really dumb. Like, for example, I would come to my students one day and say, guys, this morning, I walked out the house, and I stepped on a grape at 7 a.m. Normally, if I said that in the real world, people would think I belong in a mental institution. But my kids were like, swag, you know, they thought it was amazing. And it built my confidence. It was awesome. After 3 years of teaching, I decided to quit. I knew I got the teaching game down. I can do it. Nobody can take that away from me, you know? You can have that label, but whatevs. I went down that road. But I quit teaching because I wanted to go back and say yes to all the times I said no. It was weird when I quit because I was quitting at a time that all my friends were starting their careers. It sucked. Because when you're sitting with your friends and everyone's like, well, I'm doing this, I'm like, why? I'm studying in the Institute of Hair Follicles. I ate a tub of ice cream. What? So it was interesting, but I went back and I said yes to all the times I said no. I picked up a guitar and I learned how to play it. Yes. I took a pottery class. I don't know why I did. Yes, it was awesome. I took a computer science class. Seriously, don't know why I did that, but it was awesome. I volunteered in the Humane Society. I started running. I never thought I could run in my life, but it felt awesome, and there's these things called endorphins. I didn't know they could create that impact on your body, but gosh, it was amazing. I took a class called Zumba. I learned that I could actually dance. It was legit. Volunteered for the suicide hotline, applied to an old people's home, and so on and so forth. Went to Mexico, learned about Muslims Without Borders, started volunteering for them, and it was awesome. One thing I heard about was this concept called improv. For those of you that don't know, improv is basically acting on the spot. It's very similar to Whose Line Is It Anyways? It's basically a game format, and you do short form improv where you do jokes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I found myself taking an improv class, and I did well. They told me to take another class. I did well. They told me, why don't you go ahead and audition? And I auditioned, and I got into a troupe called TNG, which is called The Next Generation. It's a troupe that's, builds you up. 2.5 years later, I auditioned for Main Stage, and I got into Main Stage, and it was awesome. I'm not telling you all this stuff so you can know about my life, although you do know a lot more now, and you probably think I'm confused. I don't really care. I'm telling you all these things for two reasons. The first thing is that nothing is absolute. Nothing is ever, ever, ever absolute. Who you are today, you could change tomorrow, you could change next year, you could change in the next decade, and it will always happen. So don't act or don't think that this is where you're going to be for the rest of your life. Things always change. Things go up and things go down. The other reason why I'm telling this to you is to always say yes to yourself. Islam doesn't tell you no. People don't tell you no, but you tell yourself no. For various reasons, I don't care what they are. One of the reasons why I stuck with improv is because it changed my life completely. People think improv is about being funny. It's not. Everybody in the world can be funny. Everybody is funny. Just looking at the perspectives people see the world is hysterical in and of itself. Improv is not about being funny. Improv banks upon one very, very simple concept that can change your life, and that concept is called yes and. Whatever happens on stage, be accepting to yourself and the person in front of you. If I go on stage with someone that I've never seen before, and my suggestion is planets, for example, and the guy next to me says, I'm on Mars, I have one of two options. I can reject him, or I can accept him. If I reject him, if he says, I'm on Mars, and I look at him and I say, nah, you on Jupiter, I have automatically killed the scene. I have rejected him, I have rejected myself, and I have made the audience feel really uncomfortable. If you accept him, and you move on with what he's saying, you're automatically accepting yourself and you're opening new doors. So he can say, I'm on Mars, and I say, whoa, look, your skin is blue. Every time I say something, I'm opening up doors and doors and doors. And it's not just to say yes, it's to say yes and. You always have to add on to it. That's a very Islamic concept, to contribute all the time. So he says, I'm on Mars, I say, yeah, and you're blue. And he'll look at me back and say, whoa, but why are you green? And it just opens and opens and opens, rather than closing those doors. This concept has stuck with me for a very long time. Improv has also taught me to not be intimidated. People around you all the time act like they know what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing with their lives. Stop faking. Even if someone in front of you tells you no, take a leap and see what happens if you say yes, because you'll say yes to yourself. Define your own success. Success is not linear. For some reason, when I was in Maryland, it was so weird. It's like you go to elementary school, you go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to college, and if you're in the MSA, you have one of three options: marriage, grad school, job. Well, what if you're not one of those things? Are you screwed? I don't know. Think of any successful person you know. Their path to success is not linear. Point A, point B, and it's disgusting in the middle. It's fine. So it's okay. What was I going to say? Yeah, don't be intimidated by others, and it happens all the time. A lot of times in improv, people will get flustered or freaked out because they're like, this really funny guy is coming, and he's been performing improv for 10 years, and he's hilarious, and blah, 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 blah. Happens all the time. This guy once came, he's been doing improv for like 15 years, and he was supposedly hilarious, like on the ranks of Steve Carell and stuff. And we performed against him. And he was really good with one-liners, just really, really good. Like he would say things like, time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like banana, something that I could never just make up or put the emphasis on the wrong syllables. I don't know. I don't know how to do that stuff. He got on stage, very intimidating. He did his thing. He did his, one-liner spiels, and I did the only thing I knew how to do. I flared my nose 5 times. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It threw him off, but I took a leap of faith and I tried. And the audience laughed and they thought it was funny, so I don't really care. Win. The other thing is, when it comes to the Islam part, like I said before, Islam doesn't say no to you. You say no to you. Don't worry about the Islam. Don't worry, I don't want to say don't worry about the Islam part. That doesn't make any sense. But Islam is not a state of being. People think it's a state of being. States of being are like solid, liquid, and gas. You are not those things. Islam is a process of becoming. So find out what's comfortable to you and do the research and see what works. One thing I always keep in mind is anything that I ever do, if it makes you feel like you're closer to Allah, keep on doing it. If it makes you remotely feel like you're far from Allah, stop from doing it. And I don't care what it is. But in order to do that, you have to have the humility and the realness with yourself to question yourself and think, is this right for me? It's not about sticking it to the man. No one cares. Seriously, no one cares. It's not about coming out and being the first whatever. No one cares. Just ask yourself in your heart, do I really want to do this? The last point I want to make before I leave is that as much as you should say yes to yourself, and as much as you shouldn't be intimidated by others, try not to size yourself up. Try not to let other people elevate you or pedestalize you to a point where you really are not at that level. Now, we live in the Muslim community. It's a very small community. Anytime somebody comes out with something remotely unique, everyone freaks out. Now, I'm not putting anybody down because it's very inspiring and it can make people feel good, and I think it's good to be a role model. But where your ceiling could have been up there, when you let people size you up, you bring your ceiling down here. I don't care if you're the first Muslim whatever. I don't care if you're the first hijabi whatever. And I'm not saying this again to put you down, but Islam tells you to be the best of the best. So if you want to be a soccer player, be the best soccer player. Done. If you want to make hamburgers, be the best hamburger maker. Done. When you size yourself up or make yourself so publicly known, it's very hard for you to do better. Give yourself the creative ability to rise, but also give yourself the creative ability to fall, because you will fall and you will fall many times. I may be doing well now, but in a week you may find me in my room saying no to myself and stuffing my face with popcorn while watching The Biggest Loser. I don't know. And it's totally okay. I may be up now, but I'm going to be down. Give yourself that space. It's embarrassing to fall in front of everybody, if you do. Okay, I just want to end with 2 last things, and I'm done. 2 quotes that I want to end with. One is a quote by Rumi. I really like Rumi. I don't know why. It's just really cool. The quote by Rumi says, "Let the beauty of what you love be what you do." So just find out what you want to be and know that it can change all the time. It's okay. And don't be intimidated by people around you. The other thing I want to say is a dua that I think is really important. And I say it all the time because it kind of encompasses everything together. It makes you conscientious. It makes you think. It makes you know that you're not all that. Or if you're feeling bad, it elevates you. And the dua is as follows. It says, Allahumma la tu'akhidni bima yaqulun, waghfir li ma la ya'lamun, waj'alni khayran mimma yadhunnun. And the translation for that is, Oh Allah, don't take me for what they say about me, whether it's good or bad. And oh Allah, forgive me for what they don't know about me. And Ya Allah, make me better than what they perceive me to be. Thank you.